Bonjour, hola, how do? How are we all? Welcome back to another live match. I say live, it's not live, it's live now while we're talking. But you'll be hearing this and seeing this at a later time. It is currently Tuesday morning, and we are talking to the man, the myth, the legend, Joe Skinner. How are you doing, sir?
Hi mate, how you doing? Thanks for having me on. Absolute pleasure. I think you're a top bloke and it's great to finally come on your podcast, mate. Albeit with less hair than what you probably saw me as last time. I've gone for a new hard man, David Beckham 2001 look, mate. What do you think?
Pulling it off. Better than
Go on, man.
Bex. Better than Bex, mate. I tell you that.
Hopefully fitter as well, hopefully. Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously, it's great to get you on. Love speaking to you as well. Two members of the fan board, just putting ideas together and chatting football. That's what it's all about. But yeah, tell us a bit about yourself. Obviously, I know you've done bits for Burnley FC in the community previously. But yeah, explain yourself and your love for Burnley Football Club.
Yeah, so I've had a season ticket for about 12, 13 years now. Quite an interesting story. I've always been a Burnley fan for many years, but I didn't go on the turf prior to having a season ticket for ages because I had an irrational fear of mascots. So my fear was previously as a kid of Bertie B, which I don't know if you can see through the mirror of my wardrobe there. It is up there in the corner because when I was at school, my teaching assistant at the time, who's no longer here, Mr. Ennis at Blessed Trinity. I don't know if you've
What
heard
a
of him.
guy.
What a man. He basically got hold of a spare EB head and got it so that I could go on turf and then never looked back really since after that. And like I said, I had a season ticket for 12, 13 years, regularly attend away games and that where I can. Committing in the van, it's a bit of a breakdown merchant at the moment, but hopefully it fixes itself. And yet also worked for Burnley FC in the community for nearly 7 years up until recently, and just finished a media degree back in September. Got my own podcast, WheelTalkLife, where I just chat shit to people and hope for the best.
Why not, mate? Why not? That's why I do this. Just chat shit and do a bit of a Jamie Vardy
And
without getting
also as
banged.
well, I must add, for my day job, I am a 100-meter sprinter.
Go on, lad. That's why you say Bolt were there. Uh,
100%.
right. Football in terms, obviously a lot's gone on. Everyone's been on the optimism train. They've jumped off. Some have decided to lie on the tracks early. But I've liked to call it that I'm now on the optimism train, but harding in the bogs with no ticket. Um, that,
Absolutely.
that's where I'm at. But I mean, how do you think? Do you think we could do it? Do you think there's just that little sense of it, isn't there?
I think we can do it, but do I think we deserve to do it? Not particularly.
No.
But that's my opinion. I'm not like criticising them or anything, because obviously it's been great to win on Saturday. I loved it. Being there, seeing your team win, there's nothing better than seeing your team win. I just have a few question marks and issues surrounding the mentality sometimes because it's a young squad. You always feel like something's going to happen to Burnley Football Club in a match, whether it be a mistake or a late equaliser, things like that. And that's what I have issues with. There's no, I love the modernisation of the club. I was the one that called for it as well through my
Yeah, yeah.
friends and that. But, I feel like you need a bit of bite and, we're not moving here, lads. We're going to get this victory kind of thing. And if it wasn't Sheffield United, I think it could be a different story because they're equally as bad as us. But I'd love to stay up, even though I prefer the Championship in terms of I won't mind going down to the Championship. But I feel like purely on a financial basis, we need to stay in this league because of the model of the way we
Yeah.
operate. But in terms of football, I much prefer the Championship. I think it's the best league in the world. However, I am slightly optimistic. You never know if Sheffield United, even though they're absolutely shit as well, if they can beat Nottingham Forest for us in a couple of weeks' time and we beat United at weekend, you never know.
It's true, mate. It's true. You never know. I mean, you said it there then that we can be also, our own downfall at times. I mean, I look at that Sheffield United game. They've had 18 shots with 11 on target. Now you give that to a team in the top half of the
Yeah,
table, we're getting battered.
yeah. Sometimes, like I say, it's nothing to do with the style of play for me. This is why I do. I've never ever thought to say this about a manager. I don't want Vincent Company to leave, but I just question some of like the mentality sometimes. But maybe that's because it's a young side, and obviously we're perhaps still grieving a little bit for Sean Dyche, and
Yeah,
what
maybe. Yeah.
or perhaps been accustomed to for years, and it's just adapting to the new Burnley. Do you know what I mean? And perhaps now we have to take that with open arms and just accept it for what it is. Like my friend said, Jordan, he said, you've got to take into consideration that these are young lads from another country, other background. It could be so scary for them coming into a new league away from the family. So I believe if we stay up, it probably will be a different story next season because they've been learning on the job, haven't they? But unfortunately, you can't really afford to do that in this league, which is why we've been cut adrift. So if we do stay up, I do predict it'll be a lot more enjoyable next season. What do you think?
No, I'm same. I think there's a lot, like you said, a lot to take into consideration. We've got a bunch of players of different nationalities. They need to learn to understand each other,
Yeah,
read each other's game. We've essentially gone up, got rid of the low knees, and created a brand new squad.
yeah,
We've ripped up the rule book and just started again. A lot of people have said that the squad we had in promotion, you felt like you could get in touch with them on Instagram and go for a pint.
yeah,
But these lot, you sort of don't feel that connection. Hopefully, it's going to grow into that.
yeah,
Like you said, they are still young. Maybe it is naivety on company's part, but we will see long term. I mean, we're talking about players, Joe. Before we get into the Sheffield United game, obviously the keeper situation has been very, very difficult. We've had the likes of Trafford and company clearly trying to say that, you know what, my my reasoning will be justified. However, he changed to Muric. He almost did a dash against West Ham. He had
yeah,
nothing else to change other than the keeper. Changes him, and we started to see a bit of a pattern of a stronger United 11. I mean, obviously Muric has made a couple of mistakes in recent games. He made some fantastic saves as well, though, and so did Trafford. Let's not forget that Trafford's made some brilliant saves. But for you, it's. I think essentially my question is, where do you sit on the keeper debate? Because obviously we've seen, you know, insecurities insecurities in both of their play.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think I'm very much in the Mutes camp, but in the
Mm,
long term, Trafford will be the better goalkeeper, I feel. But again, someone made a valid point. Maybe we're saying that because of his age, but we don't know the mitigating factors of someone's development. Just because he's 21 doesn't mean he's going to be a world beater by the time he's 26. Even though I do believe he will be, playing for England hopefully one day, because you come through Man City's academy and demand a 19 million pound fee for no reason, you'd hope. However, the sad reality of the situation is, if you want to adopt a game model and a style of play, Muric is actually integral to that. You look at his passing distribution, his calmness on the ball, his calmness coming out and claiming crosses. The sad reality is he's integral to our style of play. On by sad reality, I mean that for Trafford. Unfortunately, Muric is integral to the way we play, just as much as a striker in lots of ways. His commanding
oh, big
presence,
time.
his calmness in his own box. Although for the life of me, I will right across it last other week when he did that against Everton. You just get it right into it stands for me with 5 seconds to go. I nearly said a stronger word then, but I thought ease my way in. What do you call it? Yeah, but I do think Muric for now over the next few games and see where the land lies next season, because he's integral to the way we play. Isn't he? He just
Yeah.
exudes a bit more of a calmness on the ball than Trafford, and that relates to your back line as well, I think.
Yeah, I think his distribution last season, obviously, I mean, he was probably up there amongst the assists, in the championship season because of how many times he punted the ball forward for Teller on the
Mm.
shoulder of the last defender. We got in, we scored. And like you said, that's another reason why it's pivotal to our play. His distribution was on point. He could pick a player out if they were looking for it. So no, I'm totally in agreement with you. I think I'm very much in the Muric camp, but I do believe that Trafford potentially, if we go down, could play Championship football to aid his development.
Yeah,
But I think we'll see. We'll see what happens because Muric for me is again, it's similar with the mistakes, though, Joe, isn't it? I think somebody said to me in the pub the other day, you can't really blame Muric for those two
no,
mistakes because essentially it's the beginning of his season.
yeah,
He's only just coming into the fray. If he did that at the start of the season, we'd have all gone, oh bloody hell! But then we'd have forgot about it as the season went on.
and also
So go on,
just to jump in, the manager tells him to do that.
yeah,
If another manager told him not to do that, he wouldn't do it, or he wouldn't necessarily. Do you get
yeah.
what I mean? It's the game model, so it's not solely on him.
But
And I can
it's the
totally,
model throughout
yeah,
as well because
yeah,
I think the under-18s play the exact same way as the first team. The under-21s the same, so that it's a smoother transition to.
absolutely,
So and it's a good way of looking at it. But I went to see the under-21s play at the turf the other week, and you could see the keeper was doing a Trafford. He kept the ball at his feet for a while, looking up to pick out, and you just think, just fucking launch it. What are you doing?
yeah, yeah,
But you can see that that's part of the game plan that we're trying to achieve. And
yeah.
yeah, 100% with you.
I think that's very much the way the game's going now. Sadly, in a few years' time, you won't get a manager. It's continually going to the way of a head coach because these owners of various football clubs are coming in and very much looking at ways of playing and trying to be a bit too like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, and also using data to inform their decisions and getting somebody who fits their football methodology. And Vincent Company, I wouldn't say he's the manager of Burnley Football Club. I would say he's a head coach of Burnley Football Club who operates with a team of people to identify transfer signings, ways of playing, things like that. And I think that's the reality of the modern game. Would you agree? That
Yeah, yeah.
everyone's sort of like that now.
Yeah, everybody's evolving. Everybody wants this tiki-taka style football. I was talking on a podcast last night about how, gone are the dying breeds of managers like Sean Dyche,
Yeah.
where they would play ugly to get a result. And we did that for years. We literally were the ugly stepsister while everybody else were living the Cinderella story. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what it were. And we tried to make the glass slipper fit. Sometimes we did because we greased our foot up like a pig and managed to fit it in. And sometimes we didn't. We lost out. The glass smashed and we got smashed. But that's just football. Again, I've said it when we lost Dash that it is an adapt or die situation. And if we don't
Sadly,
move with the times, we are going to get left behind. And we are essentially just little old Burnley, aren't we? I mean, you look at the team, the areas around us. You've got your Bury, your Rochdale, your Oldham,
yeah.
things like that. And they're all, these are places on the cusp of cities
Mm.
and they are in the doldrums of football. We have punched above our weight for years. We are an old, I won't say dying breed, but an old historic club that doesn't
Milltown.
really, that doesn't really sit there going, we're massive, we're massive. We know we haven't got a pot to piss in, but if give us a pot and we'll piss in it all day long, we will make sure that we will
Absolutely.
move forward. And I think that's what we did, obviously, with a trip over the Pennines to Yorkshire. 9 goals against the Sheffield United side that looked destined for the Championship, Joe.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter saying the Battle of the El Crapico, and although we won the game, Sheffield United won the Battle of the El Crapico because they're more so crap than us. Totally agree. I went to the game, nearly missed the start of the kickoff because we had to get a late train, but just made it in time, and great to see a victory. Like I say, I see people regularly speaking about this. All anyone wants to have when they go to a game is a good day out, and it's not even necessarily about the winning, but that helps. Like it massively lifts people's mood. I tend not to get too heads up on it, but I know for a lot of people, it really pisses them off for the majority of the week when
Yeah.
Burnley lose, etc. So just for the whole overall fan base to be able to see us win a game, and you never know, sometimes your head goes into different places, doesn't it? Or well, what if this happens? What if we beat Man United on Saturday and Nottingham Forest, who by the way are fucking babies for that statement. Sorry if you are.
Big time.
So,
No, mate. You let it out. Let it
yeah,
out.
No, I mean, sorry if you're going to get onto that, but how ridiculous is that? We're talking about a club here who've been in the Premier League for 2 out of the last 25 seasons or something like that, and they're acting like spoiled entitled brats. People need to get a grip of ourselves. If Burnley did that kind of statement, I'd be embarrassed. Me, they should be embarrassed of themselves. Yes, right. There is corruption in the game, I do believe. Right, there's lots of decisions that haven't gone our way, but there's ways and means to go about complaining. By all means, complain, but don't do it in a way that potentially questions the whole integrity of the actual sport and bring it into disrepute. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, big time, big time. It's for me. I think Marinakis burnt a lot of bridges when we played Olympiacos in
Yeah, yeah,
Europe, and he were being a bit of a dick then as well. So we're now getting to a point where he's gone into a club in English football. He's spent over his alleged amount to be that he can. So he's now been penalised for that as a club. Then there's the game where he's stood on the pitch, basically questioning the referees. Now he's all of a sudden him or one of his people representatives have got hold of the Twitter account and just gone bang.
yeah.
You know,
Have
so
it.
it's, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a ballsy move, and I think it was JJ Watt that said, weren't it? This is how it'd look if I got hold of the
Yeah.
Burnley socials. But we've, like you said, it's a way of there's means of going around it.
It's about to be class in it, really. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Sheffield United are getting it. What they're starting next season with -2 points in the
yeah, yeah,
Championship anyway. So you know they've took what they've got, and they've gone right. It is what it is. Whatever.
yeah,
You know, next year I think they're going to follow us, not follow a similar suit to us, but in a way, kind of. They're going to have a major rebuild. There's a lot of players out of contract who'll see themselves as, well, no, I'm still Premier League quality, etc. Um, and they're going to have to rebuild now. Whether that's with Wilder or not, who knows? Uh, Ollie, who I spoke to ahead of the Sheffield United game, seems to think that Wilder is being trusted with this rebuild, and that's the only reason why he's still in the job.
yeah.
So, as we'll get onto the Forest stuff shortly,
Yeah,
but
sorry.
oh, it's all right. But obviously, Sheffield United, as much as they've got stuff going on off the pitch, on the pitch, it's just dross as well. I think it's only the last few. How many games is it now? In the last so many where they've conceded at least 5 goals.
Yeah.
It's been abysmal. If you're a fan of Sheffield United, you can't be happy with that.
No, I was speaking to some lads who had a few tinnies, should we say, on the way back to the train station, and they were like, "Let's get back to the championship." And I totally understand that, and totally agree with them from a fan perspective. I want to play in the championship. I'm talking from a financial perspective, how for the health of the football club and the town and the economy, we do need to stay in the Premier League. But I totally
Mm.
sort of, because it's like it's having something to cling on to as a fan, isn't it? For going into a game and thinking, oh, instead of let's try not to lose it today, let's have a go and win today. And I imagine that's what the Sheffield United fans are feeling at the moment. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the results. They got beat 5-0 at home to Aston Villa, 5-0 at home to Brighton, 6-0 at home to Arsenal.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong, they've drawn a few games away at Bournemouth, at home to Fulham. Obviously, they followed up our result against Chelsea with a 2-2, same as us, which, again, we won't go into that Chelsea game because that were a load of bollocks. But, I mean, the thing, I look at this 4-1 performance, and you've got to think, it's always nice. Away from home this season, we've always seemed to sort of
yeah,
give a shit and actually cared.
absolutely. Yeah,
We've actually seemed to want to actually put in a performance, play for the shirt, play for the badge. It's at home where we sort of arse falls out a little.
mm,
But like I say, as much as it is Sheffield United, it was amazing what we've done. I mean, the first goal, for example, Jakob Brunn-Larsen, it seemed to take an eternity to go into
quite
the back
funny.
there. It p-rolled in, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were sat in the corner and we couldn't see it. We were almost like a delayed reaction. I must say, massive credit to Wilson Odobert in that passage you play, man. What a
Yeah,
star he's hopefully going to be. He's only 19-year-old. He came over to give some fan with a sign his shirt to us, and after the game, sorry, and we were still stood there. He's like, my mate said he looks about like a 15-year-old kid, so fair play to him to still be knocking around Premier League level at this early age, and he can only get better. And I believe his best position is in the attacking midfield role, personally. You got to allow your creative players to get on the ball because that's as much as a defensive outlet as it is an attacking outlet. Say, for example, you give the ball to Odobert under pressure from the opposition who are pressing you. He could perhaps win a foul that break up their, momentum, etc., and just allow us to reset. Obviously, the turn and the shot wasn't very good, but it led to Bun Larson's goal. But yeah, great to get in front in quite a weird fashion, but we take any goal, don't we?
we do, and I think for me, Brun Larson's been really decent. I think ever since he started coming off the bench,
Yeah,
performing quite well, and I think if anything, he's probably part of the reason why a lot of fans are not seeing Manuel Benson in a Burnley shirt because he seems to have come in and made it his own. Especially when we've got wingers that are soon to be out of contract, the likes of Johan, um, Brown is soon to be out of a contract as well. Obviously, whatever the club decide to do, the club decide to do. But if you're given the option, because I believe we have got an option to buy Jakob Brun Larsen, obviously dependent on what he wants. If he wants to play in the Championship, if he wants to go back to Hoffenheim, whatever the situation. If you were the manager and he said, "I want to be here," do you pay the money? Do you think it'd be a decent acquisition?
absolutely. And I don't know if you know this. Obviously, I don't know the validity of the source, but I swear it was somebody quite official, like Andy Jones or something like that. Apologies, Andy, if you didn't break this story. But basically, I think we can sign him for something like 2.5 million, which would be a ridiculous
Yeah,
fee.
cheap.
And the reason why we can sign him for a ridiculous fee like that is apparently he's got like a history of injuries and stuff. So they picked him up as like a gem and were willing to take a chance on him, which again is the way the data-driven market goes.
Yeah,
You're going to get some of these signings wrong, but when you get some of them right like that, and the likes of Wilson, Nordberg, and Lyle Foster and Brum Larson, it can prove financially fruitful. And uh, what options we have in the wide areas? Coley Oshaw when he comes back,
yeah,
Tressor, Manuel Benson. Even though I do want him to be in the team, obviously, I think Vincent don't fancy him at this level due to the intensity of the league because for me, even though he's a great player, if you're Manuel Benson and you see Johan Bird Goodmanson being brought on instead of you, he's 33-year-old. You've got to start asking questions. So I
yeah.
do think Manuel Benson will be departing in the summer, which is a shame. But we do have an abundance of wingers at our disposal and such creative talent. So yeah, it's very exciting.
It is indeed. It is indeed. And then another player, obviously on loan, Bags the second, Assignon. I think he's been really brilliant acquisition on that for that right sort of wing back role.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, did really well to take the second goal, didn't he?
Absolutely. Again, I think he took a bit of a deflection. I like him as a defender. I think he stands up well in the majority of situations, and hopefully we can make it as a permanent. Because how old is he? I'm sure he's in his early 20s,
23,
something
something like that, 22.
something like that. And if we can get him in as well, which hopefully we can, depending. I think a lot of it depends on if we stay up, doesn't it? I know Steve might be being made into a permanent, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But yeah, if we can get Assignon through the door, it might allow us to offload Connor Roberts for some profit. I think we signed him for 2.5 million, something like that. Connor Roberts.
Yeah.
So if Leeds go up, which I hope they don't, because I want Ipswich to go up because of
Yeah,
the
same.
story. Because of the story, we can perhaps demand a higher fee, such as like
To be
five
fair, I've
million.
read that Leeds don't want him.
Yeah, I
Leeds,
saw that.
it would not surprise me if he goes back to Swansea or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if we can sign Assignon, that'd be great. Nice for a fullback to get a goal because it's not a tradition, is it? Unless you James
No,
Tavernier playing in the Donkey League that is Scottish football.
that is true. I mean, he went from goal scorer to assist maker within 18 minutes. Obviously, I know we'd start the second half, but still, there an 18-minute difference between him and his goal and his assist. Sets up Lyle Foster, who's
Yeah.
unmarked, simple finish past Gerbich.
It shows how bad my fucking view was because I was telling Asignon to shoot, but then when I watched it back on YouTube afterwards, so why am I telling him to shoot there? Great pass from him and great slot from Lyle Foster, who I really like me because I like to see players who run and we're not moving here, lads. You're not getting past us. We're gonna give 100%, run every blade of grass, and Foster does that. And obviously, again, coming to a new country, new environment, it must be overwhelming, but to settle in and give everything, fair play to that guy. And his hold up play is superb as well when he plays down the middle, which is why I find it baffling that he plays in wide area. But again, I'm not Vincent Kompany. By the way, I'm not slagging off Vincent Kompany. I think he's a good manager and he will come good. I question some of the decisions sometimes, but he is a good man and hopefully he will come good for us. That's why I think we need to stay up because I believe next season he'll learn on the job and I won't be surprised if we finish something like between 10 and 12 or something like that. But yeah, Lyle Foster, another great buy. I think we bought him for something like 11 million and I won't be surprised if we end up selling him in a couple of years for 30, 35. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm same. I think obviously he's had his issues with mental health, which I'm,
Yeah,
don't just go overnight. So he's clearly probably still dealing with a lot of that. I always said as well
absolutely.
when we signed him that because a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's shite in the championship. He's not done this. He's not done that." And I
Yeah,
said, "Wait till we get." I said, "Wait till we're in the Prem." I said, "You'll see
yeah.
a different monster." I said, "Lyle Foster reminds me so much of when we signed Ashley Barnes." I said, "Because Barnes came in, there weren't really much about him. He looked a bit ropey in games, playing alongside Ings and stuff like that." And I thought, is he even going to be a starter for Burnley? I had question marks over Barnes, and then we got promoted, and all of a sudden you just saw this bull of a striker just up
Absolutely.
top. And that's what Foster for me reminds me of. He's come into the Prem and gone, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity with both hands. But a player who obviously has been at the club for a lot of time, and if you're watching Middlesbrough fans, yes, he's still wearing claret and blue, not like Victor Valdez or Alvaro Negredo, who are no longer with you, and you're in the Championship. Relegated Charlton right winger, Johan Berg Gudmundsson. Obviously, 22 seconds, mate. 22 seconds he'd been on the pitch, and then bam, did a Manuel Well, he didn't do a Manuel Benson. He did a Johan Gudmundsson. He cut in, had his pot shot, and it came off for him. Fair play to the lad.
He caressed it into the bottom corner, didn't he? He stroked it
Yeah.
like you would stroke the lack of hair on my head, and it was just a beautiful finish, mate. Like I say, again, like I said about Manuel Benson being aggrieved if he wasn't in the starting lineup over Johan Bergmussen, but I like the fact that I know he just criticised Vinny. I like the fact that he recalls on some element of experience because that's key. Having figures like Johan Bergmussen in the dressing room, Jay Rodriguez and Jack Hawke, it's vital for these young lads in terms of to utilize their experience to guide them. And he certainly did guide that ball into the bottom corner. I think it were great
Mm.
finish, and I think them kind of players are very much accepting of their role, aren't they? Off the bench, bit part players, but I'd be happy to do that at top level football. 33-year-old coming off the bench in Premier League, 20 odd grand a week or something like that, and it's often the players who don't play are sometimes more key than the players that do play. If that makes maintaining a healthy dressing room is half the battle, and I imagine them figures like Johan Bergman are key to that, aren't they? Otherwise, Vincent Company wouldn't keep calling from him off the bench. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
I don't know why I
I
keep
th-
saying do you agree. Sorry.
no, no. To be honest, mate, it's fine because you look. I've questioned a lot of substitution decisions this season. I've thought, why has he brought him on for what, essentially, it was similar to when we had Dash. We went like for like, or he'd go
Yeah,
or with company, he'd go and try and defend a 2-0 lead. at the 60th minute, and you're
Yeah,
like, you're asking us to basically be under pressure now for essentially another half an hour. And an half an hour of football, I'm sorry, but it can feel like days, let alone flaming
yeah,
minutes. Um, I mean, the West Ham game, pure and simple. You know,
yeah,
we threw that away because we went defensive, and it
yeah,
cost us. So yeah, there is questions around some decisions, but again, like you said earlier, there's that sense of youth, a youthful squad, a youthful manager who essentially is only, well, he is in his second job in management. It's his second season with the team that he's still trying to build. There is going to be things he gets wrong, things that he has to try and put right.
yeah.
But long term, like you said, I think this season will be one that he looks back on and goes, right, I shouldn't have done that,
Yeah.
and that. I won't make that mistake again.
Did you see Alan Pace basically rubbishing Sasha, however you say his last name?
Yeah, that was
Well,
brilliant.
yeah,
Absolutely brilliant. Saying this is what happens when you allow kids on X. What a man. What
yeah.
a man, by the way.
Fair play to. I'm glad. I'm glad there's no truth in the links, because if there were, I think there'd be a lot of angry Burnley fans. Because I think we have shown patience with Vincent Company. Like I say,
Yeah,
long term, I do believe in him. I think it's just my preference over style of football. I like to see, we're not moving here, lads. We're gonna sprint. We're gonna get everywhere, all over the pitch. You know, we're gonna cover every blade of glass, as I said. And that's why I like Xander Berg so much as well. What a
yeah,
signing he is. He took a lot of
brilliant.
stick on Saturday, didn't he, from his former club, and to have that
He
calmness and
utilised it though.
yeah,
He sort of every boo that came at him sort of absorbed that energy and just put it into a performance. And I think that's what you want, isn't it? That
yeah.
positive mindset.
Yeah, my mate was saying the other day, obviously, traditionally, I think the reason why we as fans want to see that's, that grit and the determination from the football club, is because, one, we've become so accustomed to it, and that is our values as a town in Padiham and
100%.
Burnley: grit, determination, working class attitude, hard work. Um, but long term, this football will reap the rewards. It's just a struggle to adapt, to not see, people like sprinting after every ball and things. You get what I mean? But obviously,
Mm,
we're not the manager of Burnley Football Club, so there's a method to what they're doing. It's just my personal preferences, as fine, if that makes sense, to feel a connection with the squad, but that will come. And yeah, I believe if we stay up, that's when we'll see the fruits of our labour. Even if we go down as well, hopefully he learns from the mistakes, and then I don't think it'll be as easy if we do go down to get out of the league, because it's a very hard league. But hopefully we don't have to think of that. Starting with the Man United game on Saturday, and hopefully we turn them over, because we do have a half decent record at Old Trafford.
we do indeed. We do indeed. Obviously, they've still to play Sheffield United this Wednesday. So
Oh
tomorrow
yeah,
night they'll play Sheffield United. Which I mean, essentially is a nothing game. I don't think Sheffield United
no,
will catch us or catch anybody. The keeper certainly can't catch out by the looks of things. So, moving on from Sheffield United, we do play United next on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff at Old Trafford. We got beat 1-0 at Turf Moor, 23rd of September. Bruno Fernandes bagging that day, but I seem to remember us giving a very good account of ourselves that day, and we. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats from that game. We were both even on shots. They had more of the possession. They had 12 shots. We had 11. Both had 4 shots on target. But yeah, essentially head to head, we hold the better record for wins.
Again, I think that were another example that day where we made them look good. So
Mm.
let's try and not make them look good, and make ourselves look good this weekend. Because my mate Aiden, shout out to my mate Aiden, he said win on Saturday against Man United, and I'll start to believe. And I agree with him. and what a victory it would be for us all, because he would be celebrating that in Benidorm. So can you imagine the beers flying everywhere and the beers flying everywhere at Old Trafford as well? If we can beat Man United, which, by the way, there's only 2 teams in this country, I believe, that anyone these days is scared of playing, and that's Liverpool and Man City. Years ago, you used to play Man United and think, God, we're going to get fucking battered here. Let's try and keep the score down to 1 or 2-0, and it's a success. Now that mantra and that mantelpiece is turned over to the other Manchester club, and obviously Liverpool. No one fears Man United. It's evident at the weekend that Coventry at 3-0 down thought we're still in this game. Again, it's a mentality issue from top to bottom. That club is rotten to the core at the moment, which Jim Ratcliffe is trying to change. So if we can prey on the transitional period and the noise surrounding Ten Hag's future by nicking a result, you never know. It could be massive for our season.
100%. 100%. Speaking of massive, obviously we have got an association with Casual Minds Matters. They do some amazing work, and they do have a lot of items. They have a shop in town essentially, and they sell a lot of tops and things, and all the money from everything. They do work closely with the chairman of Helmond as well, and they've got lots of ties to the Burnley and local surrounding areas. But all proceeds from whatever you purchase in shop goes into programs that they can then put on for people dealing with anger, bereavement, PTSD, depression, anxiety, etc. You name it. And the amazing work that they do there, Dave and Patty, who I spoke to recently.
Yeah, great blokes.
Absolutely fantastic. And I just want to give them a massive shout out, massive thank you to them as well for hooking me up with them 2 tops that you saw in the video. And yeah, just keep smashing it. Don't suffer in silence. Hopefully nobody suffers in silence, because it's a mental illness.
Can I just jump in on that? Sorry.
Yeah, of course you can.
I totally agree. As you know, mental health is something that I speak about very frequently. It's important that we continue to talk about our feelings, and like you said, Patty and Dave are absolute top blokes. And to talk about mental health through the medium of casual fashion, which, as you know, is another great passion of mine, is a really positive tool. So yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I just echo your words about mental health, and particularly, lads, let's get out there and speak about our feelings. Whether it's over pints, I don't drink, but I love going to the pub. Do you know what I mean? Get down to one of these groups and get out walking. I do that a lot myself. It's quite ironic because my feet never touch ground, but you get what I mean. It's important to find a medium, and I think our medium through sport and Burnley Football Club. Would you agree, Dan?
100%, mate. 100%. Couldn't have said it any better, Joe. And again, I echo your sentiments. So thank you very much. We are away at Old Trafford. Mate. How do you see this game going? Because we've got 4 cup finals now on our way to essentially staying up. We've apparently beat these guys twice. In fact, it's not apparent, it's obvious. We beat these guys twice in 2 behind closed doors games, a 3-1 win and a 3-0 win. So I'm not saying that give us another scoreline by 3. I mean, it'd be a nice, healthy cushion. But yeah, let's do it in front of the cameras, Joe.
Absolutely. I was there the last time we beat him at Old Trafford. J. Rodriguez Thunderbolt. Absolute worldie of a goal, that, by the way. And Chris Wood as well. I didn't particularly rate Chris Wood in terms of his overall play. But he scored goals for us, and it was a historic night at Old Trafford that night. Freezing as well. That's why I had some gloves on. But yeah, let's hope we can recreate that historic win. And 2-0 would be nice, but I think we'd just like a smash and grab and get out of there here 1-0. Like I said, no one fears Man United anymore. No. So I believe it's not that daunting. No one fears Chelsea, no one fears Man United, because their recruitment and their sort of, ways of working need to improve for them to get back to elite standards on and off the pitch. So I'm going to throw it out there and say, I did say a draw, but I can't go for a draw. We have to win the game, so I'll go 2-1 Burnley.
Mate, I'd take that every day of the week. I think, though, we've got to look at the positives here that United obviously played the other day against Coventry through a 3-goal lead away. Absolutely threw that away. I thought Coventry, to be honest, in fairness to them and all the shot they gave us with the Callum O'Hare links, I essentially wanted them to win. They played very, very well. Took the game to United. It was only, the look of the draw, 50-50 shootout is what it is. But then obviously they've got a game, like say Wednesday night, they play Sheffield United, and then they've got us. Half of these players are going to be knackered, blowing out their arse. Is that another bonus for us?
Yeah, you take whatever margins, to use Sean Dyche's quite annoying phrase from back
margins.
Even though I love that fella, he could have my children if I could have children. What a guy! But to use his phrase, fine margins, and you have to take fine margins for this kind of game against Man United, even though they are not what they were. Like I said, the reality is they have hundreds of millions of pounds worth of talent compared to ourselves. So if we can, play on the fact that they might be a bit fatigued, might be asking questions in their own heads about, God, we scraped that one, didn't we, lads? There's no real leaders in that team, and we can play on that. Although, by the way, I must give credit to Harry Maguire, even though he probably won't see this. I thought he was quality where he went round shaking all Coventry fans' hands after winning penalty shootout. Did you see that?
Yeah. Massive respect to him. Obviously, the mentality of that guy to go, you know what, fair enough. Yes, we've just done it, but let's not forget at the job you've just potentially could have done on us, if we had not got this over the line. So the mentality of him to just go over to them compared to the wank that is Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, I can't believe I went all W word there, but yeah, why not? Let's throw it in there.
Right.
He's just a toss pot in it, absolute toss pot. I cup in your ears and all this. I just don't. You think you're playing at Manchester? I'm at Manchester United, the best club in the world. Yeah, mate. If in your mindset, rightly so, you think that, but don't give it the big one. You've literally just gone toe to toe with them for 120 minutes of football, and they've made you look like an absolute shower of shit.
Absolutely. There's even question marks, isn't there, about whether it's actually offside Coventry's goal. I'm watching different angles of it, and I think I'm really disillusioned with football at the moment. The robotic nature of the way people operate. Yes, have VAR, but have it in the right way. Don't do it because someone's left armpit hair is offside or, a piece of torn. Come on, you know what I mean? Like you say, he went toe to toe with Coventry of the Championship that was in League Two a few years ago. It's not something you should be celebrating about. And like I say, maybe we can play on that petulance and that mentality from their club, and hopefully, bring back a bit of the old Milltown industrialism and sneak out there with a win.
Why not? Why not? I mean, I was speaking to a referee yesterday called Gav. On a podcast, so a big shout out to Gav if he sees this. But he was saying that he's an Arsenal fan, and he said it was offside. He said when you look at it, he said essentially it is offside. He said I can't. He said I'd love to say that because it's against United that it isn't. He said, but
fair enough.
It is. And he also went in and said that he doesn't like Stuart Atwell, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that he's a Luton fan. It's just that he's met him a few times and he's an arse apparently. But no, I asked him then, I said, so what's the integrity of this offside then? If I said, take Burnley, for example, against Bournemouth, it shows the replay of Rodriguez, shows the line, he's well within it, green, onside. 5 minutes later, it shows us another line and says he's offside. So are these lines being made up? He said, well, this is why next season it should be better because essentially we're going to get the video assistant sort of stuff, all this better material to be using. But we are the only league that somehow managed to get something that has worked in the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, and worked with no issues. Everybody was like, right, brilliant, it's worked. fantastic. We're the only league that can get given something and somehow mess it up.
It's the way, it's how it's being operated.
Yeah.
Again, they're not up. I argue, I agree with the ex-pro mentality. I think get a few ex-pros in to see it from the perception of a footballer, and you might have different outcomes. The way, I don't know why I'm rubbing my face. The way they're operating it is, like you say, it can be done in other leagues, and in major tournaments. And our league is supposedly the best league in the world when it really isn't. I'll just put that out there. So why can't we operate it to the level that others are? I totally agree with you.
No, it's something's got to be done about it to sort it
Yeah,
out. But I suppose that it's one of those where we could do a video on VAR and talk to a blue in the face, and sod all will get changed.
yeah,
What have you made of Man United season? I mean, a lot of Man United fans are saying Ten Hag he's got to go essentially if they need to move forward. Mourinho's recently come out as well and said that there's still players at the club that 6-7 years ago when I was there I
yeah,
wanted out.
yeah.
So there's major problems, isn't it, at Manchester United?
Absolutely. Like, I'm not a football fan that can give you information on stats or anything like that. I just look at mentality and what's going on behind the scenes, which is why I like the fact that they're bringing in all these people. Your Jason Wilcox, your Omar Baradas,
Mm.
your Dan Ashworth, because you have to start from the top. If you get it right off the pitch, in the long term, you'll get it right on the pitch. And, hopefully they do that, because as a Man United fan, I bet it's embarrassing at the moment for them to experience what they're experiencing. And, again, it's purely a mentality thing for me. Very up and down. 1 minute they go and put in a performance, the next, they don't. So, yeah, they need to sort it out. And that's what I've got to say on that, really.
No, fair play, Joe. Fair play. So you're going 2-1. Who do you reckon's going to bag for us?
I'll go with Lyle Foster double.
Yeah, I'll take it. I hope he gets an hat trick as well while he's there. Well, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? But no, I really appreciate your time, Joe. Thank you very, very much for coming on, giving us an insight into football, and obviously, your thoughts on it as well. Again, tell people where they can show support to you and your YouTube channel and stuff like that.
Yeah, nice one, mate. I lost my train of thought there towards the end because I don't know if you heard the baby in the other room started crying. So that's why I couldn't really give more thoughts on Man United. But yeah, massive respect to you for having me on, mate. You're a very humble guy. I consider you
Appreciate
a
it.
friend, and we love speaking about the Stokes as well, don't we? And Paddy him up
We
the
do. Good
Stokes.
old Paddy in the playoffs.
Yeah, so in terms of myself, I have no real desire to be like this traditional journalist or anything, but I've got my own YouTube channel, WheelTalkLife, where I speak about my disability, mental health, because I'm an interesting character, very up and down, is what we'll say. I think everyone is, and that's important,
Yeah.
which is why I like what you said about promoting casual minds matter. There, I speak to people about real life stuff, local people, because I'm not even necessarily interested in views or clickbait. I'm just one of lads, whatever that phrase means. And I
Yeah.
do, commentary for Paddy, so tune in there. Follow me Instagram account. I think it's wheel_talk_life. Although I'm, regularly accidentally make mistakes on the filming stuff because I can't hold the camera properly. But again, that's open and authentic. I wouldn't mind actually if you could put the latest YouTube video in the description of this video when it goes out,
Yeah,
mate.
happily, mate.
Because
Happily.
other day I managed to go around Golf Up and other areas of Paddy where I live, just filming loads of little clips talking about different bits of stuff, which were quite enjoyable. And yeah, just keep tuning in to Dan because this guy's a top bloke. Thanks for having me on, mate.
No, anytime. Like I say, it's good to finally get you on. We've been asking for ages, haven't we? And we've managed to do it.
Yeah, man.
Managed to find a time that's good enough for us both. But no, like I say, I appreciate it. The link will be in this video when it's live, which if you're watching, it clearly is. And if you're listening to us on podcast platforms, then obviously please do go check out Joe's YouTube channel. Absolutely amazing stuff that he does. And like I says, he may not be a journalist, he may not be no Jeremy Paxman, but it will certainly give you some good honest, general chat, and that's what you want. That's what you want, down to earth, and as just your average guy doing the average things, living a dream. So why not? Why not? Thank you very much, everybody, for watching and for listening. Also, a happy St. George's Day to you all. I just want to say a massive shout out as well to all of our members on the channel as well. Massive shout out to Linda, Ward, Nikki PB Knowing, Nate, Alan Turfmore, Paul Smith, Mrs. Burnley, and Mr. Burnley, Ed Mack, and the Dugout Football channel. Massive respect to you. You can also become a member of the channel at 99p a month, and all the money is going to go towards local charities, or it's going to go towards Casual Minds Matters so that we can help put on more courses, and we will see what we can do. So I will not be taking a penny from this YouTube channel. All proceeds will be going back into the community, and it's all thanks to you guys. So yeah, if you want to be a member and you're watching us on YouTube, click the join button. If you're listening on podcast, get over to YouTube, subscribe, click that button first. That's an important one. And then obviously hit the join button. Thank you very much again, Joe. Massively appreciate it. All is left to say, mate, is up the Clarets and up the Stokes, isn't it?
You know it, pal, and up the bold men like myself.
Yes, mate. Yes, mate. Wee-yee.
Good man.
Up the Clarets. Okay.